I'm from a really small farm town. Population, 800. And when I was growing up, I had the same dream that every small town farm girl has. I wanted to be in television. Yeah, my parents kind of felt the same way you do. And actually, the only way I really got to college is I promised I would major in something else in addition to television. So, in the fall of 1981, there I was at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, ready to study and learn and majoring in radio, television, and motion pictures. You know, I had a lot to learn, and soon I learned 3 big lessons about trying to pursue a television career. Lesson number 1, you need experience. Lesson number 2, if you have connections, getting experience is easier. Lesson number 3, if you don't have any connections and you can't get paid to get experience, you need to volunteer. You know, that's working for free. Well, that was a problem for me because I was working to put myself through school. So between trying to study and get good grades and trying to work, I really didn't have a lot of time to volunteer. So what's a girl to do? Well, I got my inspiration one day when I was looking at the basketball schedule for Carolina. I saw as I looked down that they actually televised some of these games. And you know, NBC was going to come to town. So of course, they needed me. That was how I was going to get my experience. So I went to my dorm room and I called information. It was the 80s. Hello, information. Yes, can you connect me with NBC in New York City? Thank you. Okay, I have that number. Now to invest in a long-distance phone call. I got excited there at the end. Hi, yes, NBC? Oh yes, my name is Lisa and I'm a student at Carolina and I understand you're coming to town to televise a basketball game. And I'd really like to work at that basketball game. So could you tell me who I need to talk to that could hire me? Okay, yeah, you can transfer me. Hi, yes, my name is Lisa and I'm a student at Carolina and I really want to talk to somebody that could hire me to work a basketball. Yeah, okay. Okay, you can transfer me. Hi, my name is Lisa. You know, that went on for a little while. I'm not sure how many secretaries are in the NBC building. I'm pretty sure I talked to them all over time. And they were nice enough to pass me along, and I decided that I was going to continue to do this. Now, there's something about youth that says you can do anything. And I don't know when we lose that, but we shouldn't. And while I was confident that this idea would work, I wasn't confident enough to tell any of my friends, because this is how what they would have said sounded. So Lisa, let me get this right. You're going to cold call a major television network in New York City. And you're going to find the one person that's in charge of hiring the people for that one event in all the events they're televising. And they're going to hire you. Yeah, let me know how that works out for you. Well, I kept calling day after day, taking the next lead and the next lead, and finally, I found her. Her name was Helen. And Helen said she was in charge of doing the hiring for the basketball game. Well, then came lesson number 2. Helen didn't know me, and she didn't know anybody that knew me. And it turns out, when the networks come into town, they have union people, and there's only a couple of non-union jobs. And usually those goes to friends of the sports information director or the athletic director. Not only did I not know them, I didn't even know their names. But Helen said, there's one slot open. I'm waiting for a return phone call. I haven't gotten it back yet. So if you'll call me tomorrow, I'll let you know. Well, she didn't know who she was dealing with. That was all the inspiration I needed. Every day for a week at 3 o'clock, I schlepped across campus. I went and I dialed that number. Helen, it's Lisa. Did you get that phone call yet? No? Okay. Call you tomorrow. Helen, it's Lisa. Hey, you still got that slot open? Okay. Call you tomorrow. Helen, Lisa, you see, there was no caller ID then. Helen, it's Lisa. Lisa, if I hire you for this game, will you quit calling me? Yes, Helen, call me once. You'll hire me once, you'll hire me forever. You know, it was amazing the confidence I got from just making that one phone call. But then I had to ask that third question about lesson number 3. Helen, I do get paid for this, don't I? And get paid I did. I worked my first game for NBC and I got paid $50. It was the 80s. That was more than it is now. $50 to be a gopher. You know what a gopher does, right? You go for coffee, you go for tea, you go for a cool t-shirt so they can take it back to New York City to some friend of theirs or their kid. But you know, it didn't matter. I was doing the job of my dreams, and when you're doing something you love, it's just awesome. It doesn't matter the task. And I eventually worked my way up, and I ended up being a stage manager working side by side with some of the top sports announcers in the greatest seat in the house. It was a great experience. But then in my senior year, I needed to get a job. You know, a real job. And television, I got some offers. Yes, sir. I got $7.50 an hour offer from New York City at NBC in their Page program. And then there was this little startup in Atlanta called CNN. They offered me $5 an hour. 40 hours a week, but not the same 40 hours each week, so you couldn't get a second job. Well, I was flattered. But I had also spent 4 years working 3 jobs, and I had 1 suit and no car. And nobody I could live with in either of those cities. So I decided I probably needed to try to find something else. So every company that came to campus, I dropped my resume. And you know what? The little companies always wanted to talk to me about my television experience. Because it was really fun, and Carolina basketball was really big. We'd won the national championship. Michael Jordan was there. But nobody really there wanted to put me on their payroll. And the large companies, well, I wasn't a business major, so they totally bypassed my resumes. So I have to admit, I was getting a little frustrated. But then I saw that the Coca-Cola company was coming to town. And guess what? They didn't interview me either. They looked at my resume and said, okay, that's nice. But in looking at the information on campus, I saw that they were doing an information session the night before. So what's a girl to do? I go to that information session and I find out who can put me on that interview schedule. I found her, and I talked her into giving me a slot on that interview calendar schedule the next day. And you know what? I went through all the interview processes and I got a job. I was one of 10 people hired nationally in 1985 for the Coca-Cola Company for the grand total of $18,600 and a Chevy Celebrity station wagon. I was looking good. Like a den mother, but I didn't care. I had a car. And I thought I can always continue to do television on the side, freelance television. It was fun. My very first promotion ever for the Coca-Cola Company took me here to Dallas. And I continued to do sports television. So I covered some Mavs games, and I covered some Cowboy games, and it was a lot of fun. But I soon realized that probably television wasn't going to be my destiny. It was going to be something fun I did on the side. In fact, the Coca-Cola Company wasn't just going to look good on my resume. It was going to be my resume. I spent 30 years at the Coca-Cola Company, doing all kinds of jobs, traveling all across the world, seeing, learning, working with some of the best people ever. You know, the kind of people you would like even if you didn't want to work with them. You would spend time with them anyway. Those kind of people. It was an amazing journey. And when I sit back and I think about it, all that confidence to go after what I wanted came from one phone call to information. Now today, there's probably somebody each one of you should call, need to call, thought about calling. I see some of you with your notebooks out there. Go ahead, write down their name. Write it down. We are more connected today than we ever were. You can phone call, email, text, LinkedIn. I don't know. There's so many out there I can't keep up with them all. What's preventing you from taking a step towards your dream? There's somebody out there that's just waiting for you to reach out so they can say yes. But they'll never say yes if you don't call. So why don't you do it today? What you waiting on?